Oh, this is David Mayfield with Driving the Classics, and today we're going to have a little continuation of the review of my 2007 Cadillac Escalade ESV. Did a video a while back. Did a kind of a tour of it in a review, just because it's still a wonderful vehicle. I'm very happy with it. But being a 2007, things are going to go. Things are going to have to be replaced, and one of the things that we're going to have to replace today, and I'm going to show you how to do it, is to replace the alternator. We went on a trip here recently and coming back, and luckily, fortunately, the problems really didn't happen until we got closer to home, and we made it home and it was fine. I thought it was maybe an anomaly, but then we started having some more issues. And so what the symptoms were is anytime we'd come to a stop or an idle, the dash lights would flicker, and sometimes it would shut off like 1 second until you were able to accelerate and get the RPMs up to start charging that battery. So yesterday I went down and bought a new, I went to the store, came back, the battery was completely dead. Didn't click, didn't crank, do nothing. It was completely gone. So I went and got a new battery and put it in, and was hoping that would be it, but we were still having the same symptoms. We would come to a stop and it would idle and it would flicker and lights would go off and alarm. The only thing that I questioned on it though was we were not getting a voltage warning or a charge system warning, and so that kind of concerned me. So that's what was confusing me on what the issues were. So let's get to it. We're gonna I haven't done anything to it. I'm going to show you what tools you're going to need and then go through the process. So let's get to it. So here we are. We got the 2007 Cadillac Escalade. It has got the 6.2 Vortec engine in it. It's fairly straightforward. So what we're going to need today is I've got a 5/8 closed-in wrench to be able to loosen the belt. We have the tensioner right down here. If you can see, it's kind of hard to see. I could take this out of the way, but I'm going to run out of daylight if I do, so we're just going to do it that way. So if you can see, again, there's the tensioner right there. So we need a 5/8 for that, and then a 15 millimeter ratchet, 15 millimeter ratchet with an extension, and that's really all you're going to need to do that. And then you've got 2 bolts right here. So let's get to that. So I'm going to take the 5/8 closed-in wrench and bring it down so we can get that tensioner loose just enough. If you push it down to get this belt off. And I'm dropping my wrenches. So there, we've got that off. Now, I don't want it to go very far, so I'm just going to let it drop right there so I don't have to rethread it. So also what I want to do is I'm going to take this cover off to kind of get it out of the way, and see if I can pull it out of there to give a little more exposure of what's going on. Oh, one thing I almost forgot, and that would have been bad, is I need to disconnect the battery. That would have been interesting if I would have done that. So I am going to use the famous 10 millimeter to be able to unhook the negative on here. Just set that out of the way. Make sure it's not connected there. And then we're going to get back to removing the alternator. So once again, I put my 15 millimeter back on. I'm going to get them loosened up Just a little bit. That was a little bit tighter. And sometimes you may want to put some penetrating oil on that just in case, because they've been in there a while. But this is a pretty clean engine. I'll take that extension off because I don't need it at this point. And get those out. They are pretty long bolts, and you may think you can hand do them, loosen them all the way, but yeah, you got to do the whole thing. So we'll see. There we go. Okay, so we can get that one out. Just make sure you put them somewhere safe. You don't lose them down in the engine, because that's a whole nother process. I got some wind coming, and it looks like they may have a storm coming in, so that should be about right. Here in Texas, as I had mentioned in my last video of the Fredericksburg Car Fest, we've been having rain almost every other day, and for a while I've been having almost every other weekend, so it's real hard to be able to feature a lot of car shows or do anything outdoors. But yeah, we're getting a good bit of wind. So anyway, okay, so now we've got it disconnected. To do that, we will need to remove the plugs. We have one here. It's a little clip, and it just comes out that way. And then we have another back here. Oh, it's a little bit harder to get off, and there's another 10mm nut back there that we'll have to take off. And that one's pretty easy. Just make sure you hold on to it, because there's a lot of places for it to get lost down in that engine, and those little bolt nuts are hard to find. You lose them, so hold on to that real well. All right, another tool that we may need to use is like a mini pry bar like that, because sometimes it gets wedged in there pretty well. So just bump it a couple of times down here. Make sure that's off of there. Yeah, sometimes it can be a little tight since it's been on there a while. There we go. There we go. All right, we will pull that out of there. All right, now what I have here is I got a Duralast gold alternator, one piece. Got this at AutoZone. Total with core charge was right at $161. But there is a core charge, so if I take the old one back, I'll get $40 back credit on that. So let's open this up. Got instructions, put those somewhere where they don't get lost. And then I'm gonna put this down. Oh, and it is a heavy one. It's a big old dog. All right, so let's examine it a little bit here. Make sure there's no issues on the grooves for the belt. You always want to look around. You got a tech support number right here. You want to check your plugs, make sure they're clean, not bent. You do have your bolt on there, so even if we did lose the other one, let's take that off so we can be ready to go back in. And again, don't lose it. When you're doing mechanic work, you really need to train your fingers to hold on to things, because if you're not too nimble, you'll flick that thing off and it will get stuck down there. And then you got your you got to go get your magnets and all the kind of good stuff. So everything looks good on it. This is not remanufactured. This is brand new. So I get brand new as much as I can, because I mean, remanufactured is okay, but you never know what you're going to get. So let's get this planted back in here. Make sure now you have these little inserts here, right here and here. Just make sure that those, you have to get around those, and they stick out a pretty good bit. So you really need to be careful that when you're putting this in, that you're not bending it. So as you can see, the holes are there. So let's see if this is a good fit. And it is not. So I am going to have to do a little modification. Get my trusty hammer and try to put those in just a little bit, because that base is wider. Now you just don't have a whole lot of room in there. I'm sorry that's loud, but all right, let's see what we got on this. There we go. There we go. All right. Gonna tap it over just a tad. Right there. Let's see if we can get these bolts to go in. There we go. Let's do that one. Oh, that one went in easy. I like that. Oh yeah. All right, let's go back to our 15 millimeter. See, this doesn't take long at all. This is one of those jobs that pretty much anybody can do if they have any kind of technical aptitude. This is, now I've had other cars that have been really difficult to get these. Sometimes alternators are on the bottom, which you got to get under, but here we're pretty good. So everything on this engine is really easy. Now, if I was doing AC, it actually has a separate belt on it. So let's see if I can there we go. Yeah, I can put that in a little bit, just so I don't crank it so much. Get a little tougher there, so let's yeah, these are very long bolts, and they go all the way through to the back. And again, that's another place that you can put your penetrating oil, WD-40, anything like that. But you got to make sure these things are tight in there, because this thing's moving and it's got to be set pretty well. Now don't over tighten them, because then you have to do it again. And again, I'm sure these have torque specs on them, but I do not have that. All right, there we go. Go back here, and we got our new nut that came with it for the wiring. So we're going to put that back on. And again, be very careful putting those on, because you don't want to get it lost down get lost down in there behind the valve covers, because that's a pain. All right, so let's get our 10mm once again. Tighten that down. Don't want any space, any looseness in there. Perfect. Now, I don't know if you can see, there is this cover here. Make sure that's back down over the top. Just there you go. And then, let's see. And then your plug. Now what's funny is this is a little bit further over than the other one is. It's a little different. So you're always going to find some difference in manufacturing. So there we go. We got that. Okay, alternator is in. So let's make sure when you're putting the belt back on that it's all lined up at the bottom, and I'm not gonna, because that can be a problem if it's not. Okay, that looks like everything is lined up. We'll straighten it here. Put it on. Oops. Oh, it came off the steering pump. So this is always fun to do. So let's get that down over there. Perfect. Now we'll go back to our tensioner, and I can hear the thunder coming, so let's pull that back down. Now see, you may have to force this just a tad. In fact, I may have to, what I'm going to have to do is I might have to get another bite on this tensioner, because it's hitting down here. So all right, well, I had to take the air intake tubes off because my wrench would not go far enough down, so I couldn't get enough bite. And looky there, everything was going real well until that. So what's a good car repair without having a little blood? That's how it works sometimes. Okay, so we've got the belt on. Now we need to put our hoses back on. It's a little difficult, not difficult, but it's just kind of cumbersome because you got a little nut bolt right there that needs to go in, and there's a hose down here that we'll need to pop back in, which goes right back in. Get that back in there like so. I'm not sure if you can see over here, but that hose back on. Had to do that hose there, that hose up there. All right, get my screwdriver. Let's tighten that back up. Make sure it went real good. Same thing over here. All right, so got all that back together. Now we're going to put the cover back on. It's a little cumbersome getting it back in there, but it goes. And make sure we get it on the little knob. Pop it down. There we go. Okay, all that should be good. I'm gonna go back and reconnect the negative. All right, let me make sure positive is also connected well. All right. We'll always want to clear off our tools. All right, got everything back together. So here's the moment of truth. I'm gonna go see if it'll start. Let it run a little bit. See if it's charging. Lights seem okay. Let's look and see what the dash is doing. Now it's going to be kind of hard, but what I was noticing is the dash lights would flicker really good, and then these lights would flicker. Now I'm going to put a load on it, so let's turn on the AC and pardon my dusty dashboard. Looks fine. Looks fine. Let's turn the radio on. Well, it doesn't look like it's flickering, but again, only time will tell. Now we got one more thing. I got this bracket that I actually pulled off yesterday. That goes. It's just an internal bracket, and I'm not gonna show how it goes on, but basically it's the same as this. And just 4 bolts, and goes right here, but you have to pull that out in order to take the battery out. So anyway, that's it. So I hope you learned something. Hope, you know, if you got any comments or questions or suggestions on how that could have been done easier, I'm more than welcome to listen. You put them in the comments. Again, if you like this video, I'll have more coming up. I have car shows, I have drag racing, I have mechanic videos, so I've got all kind of things that so whatever you're interested in, hopefully be able to pique that interest. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you want to get alerts when a new video comes up, and I appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of Driving the Classics. See you next time. Drive your passion.